Hey everyone, it's me, Alex, once again, and I forgot to turn my light on for this video, so we're doing a retake. So that's always fun, behind the scenes. So today we're going to be talking about a Dreamcast game called Power Stone. I would be showing you Power Stone 2. The thing is, I don't have it with me because it's still not back in the mail from Frankie's house yet, and I don't know why it's taking so long. Either someone stole the game, or it's lost in transit, or it could just be snail mail. I don't know. But anyway, yes, Power Stone is what we're talking about today. I'm trying to avoid the light rings, but what are you gonna do? What is Power Stone, if you're gonna be asking? Well, it's a 3D arena fighter where you have a selection of characters, and you just basically fight it out, and you have to get these things called the Power Stones. And with the Power Stones, you can get basically a super form. You know, they're based on Japanese pop culture figures at the time. You know, Falcon would turn into a Power Ranger style character. Wong Tong would turn into a Super Saiyan style character and have his own version of the Spirit Bomb and Ki Blast. There are probably other examples that I don't remember or know of. I think there's a Transformer too. Can't remember the guy's name though. So there's all that stuff. So that's kind of a neat little aesthetic that's going for. It's very strange. The game looks really good graphically for the Dreamcast. It was originally an arcade game, so basically it was more so a port rather than being built for it. If it was built for it, I'm sure it would have been a little bit nicer looking. I mean, the sequel looks nicer, but we're gonna be just focusing mostly on the first one, and I'll explain in a little bit why. So anyway. Basically, each character is trying to get the Power Stone at the end of their arcade story, you know, and do what they wish with it. Some people want to do good things, some people just don't care, and some people want to do bad things with it. You know, I'm not sure which one is the canonical story, but yeah, I don't really care. You don't play this game for the story at all. I mean, if you did, then cool. I mean, there's probably some background story on it somewhere on Wikipedia, but you play this for the gameplay. And no, it's also a multiplayer fighter, and obviously most multiplayer games are fighters, so I don't know. This one is only up to 2 players, and then the second one's up to 4 players. Now, let me explain why I like the first one a little bit more. Firstly, I think the stages are a lot better because they're more confined and smaller. It just fits the style of gameplay really well. And not to say the stages in Power Stone 2 aren't impressive, because they also move around. Like, it's a moving stage. You go from one thing to the next and eventually loops, I believe, or it just ends. But it just seems that the arenas are a little bit too big, and having 4 people just seems a little too chaotic. Yeah, you play with 2 people, but I mean, it's just, the stage just seemed too big, because it was meant for 4 people, you know, 2 players, and then 2 CPUs. So there's that, and I don't know, it just, something about it doesn't hit right the same way as the first one. Probably because I played this as a kid first, and then years later played the second one. But I don't know, I like this one more. I feel like I'm not the only one that is alone in that. Even though the second one's worth a lot more. This is worth about $80 to $100 right now. And and the sequel is $200 and something. I'm like, what the fuck? So this brings me to my next thing. I pretty much explained everything about Power Stone. Oh, actually, no, wait, I did not. Power Stone has unlockables. Surprising, right? And these unlockables are actually pretty neat, other than, you know, standard weapons or whatever. You know, you got your characters you can unlock. You can unlock Kraken, Valgus, who's the final bad guy. And if you beat the game as Valgus without using a single continue, from what I know, because I tried it with him and I did have one continue, but yeah. You can unlock Valgus in his monster form for the versus mode. So that's kind of a neat unlockable, a little hard, but I tried and I got angry at the game, and here we are, making a video. So, the other rewards are Vmu Mini Games. Now, these don't really mean a lot nowadays, because they're just little pixelated games on a tiny-ass screen. It's like the Tiger Electronic games, I mean, but the Vmu is just way better. As a kid, I did not know how to play them, because I didn't know my Vmu's batteries died, or that the batteries were a thing. I honestly thought that putting the Vmu in the controller and playing the console would charge it. That would make sense. If they actually made the controllers charge the VMUs, that would have been brilliant. But, hindsight. So, I never got to experience it until years later when I decided, I'm going to just use a VMU and see how this works. And you have to, like, take up all the space of a VMU in order to play any of them. I think there's like 3 or 4 you can get, but I don't know. They're neat, nothing crazy. So that's pretty neat. So yeah, unlockables are pretty neat. So pretty much that's all Power Stone really has to offer. I mean, I can't really think of anything else that is part of it. I mean, you got difficulty menus and all that stuff, but now brings me to my question of why is this game not on modern platforms? Like Capcom, you guys release almost everything. You got compilations, you got just collections and shit of all your old stuff, and you've released your old fighters before from the 2000s and stuff. So what's wrong with releasing Power Stone? Do you guys not care about the IP, or is it not worth it? Yes, because you put it on the Dreamcast, and sure, the install base is really low, but it's a cult following. And if you give it a second chance on modern hardware, the Switch, the Xbox Series X, the PS5, PC, then it would really do well, I think. If you had charged $15-20 for each game, I'd be like, fuck it, I'd take it. And if you have the ability to add online multiplayer, oh my lord, that's gonna be fucking insane. So I don't really get it why they would just sleep on this IP when it really could benefit them in the end, because the director of Power Stone 1 and 2, he's like, I would like to see this, come out on, Switch. So why not? Come on, guys, do it. Unless you guys are in the process of doing it, I don't know. I'm not a developer. I don't know how hard it'd be to port something like this. It seems possible. People were able to port Saturn games back then, so Guardian Heroes or whatever. And Saturn games are hard to emulate, at least back then. Now that's easier, but that's off the topic of what I'm trying to say. So yeah, Capcom, please re-release these games on modern platforms. They'll do well. I assure you they'll do well, because they're solid ass games, and having multiplayer just there in that style of game just sells it, really, for me, because I had so much fun playing multiplayer as a kid. So and with the online, like I said, that would just bring in a whole new audience of people, of competitive online multiplayer. It'd be interesting. So anyway, I'm Alex, and that's all I gotta say about this, and I'll be seeing you next time. Farewell.